Hold up.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is FoxyDude98 here, and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys here on my channel. Today we are back with round 16 of my F1 2016 career mode, season 2 with Mercedes-Benz. And you guys have been going in on the comments section down below in terms of what team you want me to go for in season 3. But before we talk about that, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like on the video, that'd be absolutely awesome. Subscribe if you are new to my channel as well. And yeah, if you haven't watched any of my other previous F1 2016 videos, I highly recommend you check them out. They will be, there's a playlist of Season 1 with McLaren and also Season 2 here. So anyway, moving on to what's going to happen in Season 3, you'll see on your screens right now that the poll has come through and you guys have chosen by only just, but the accept a new contract offer at the end of the season has won. Mercedes, we're not going to be staying there at the end of Season 3, and that's all because of the poll. You guys have decided that I should leave Mercedes and go somewhere else. So, unless there's a mad protest to say, no, you please stay at Mercedes, we're not going to be staying there for the end of the season, and that's because of you guys. And by the way, to the 53 people that voted, that's right, 53 people voted on this, and I want to just say a massive thank you, like seriously. Thanks for voting on this poll, like it's pretty awesome. And to everyone that left their comments as well, thank you ever so much for giving me all these suggestions. You guys have been going ham on where I should go. Yeah, we're not going to be staying at Mercedes next season. We're going to be leaving the team and going somewhere else. So let's try and get a good end to the season. But in the practice session, we managed to pass the track acclimatization test. We went perfect on the tyre wear test, and we did perfect again on the qualifying simulation run. Into qualifying 1 that we go now, and Felipe Nasser held me up on my lap in the middle sector, so when I came round the final corner, my lap time was overall pretty far off the pace. And overall, I definitely struggled around Malaysia, wasn't really a fan of the circuit, especially in the middle sector, the high-speed middle sector, just didn't like it at all, had horrific understeer in this car, and definitely put me off now. Into Q2 we go here, Fernando Alonso in front of us as we drive off into the sunset here, and coming across the line, 3 thousandths of a second slower than Kimi Raikkonen there, and that put us into P4 in from Q2, so not a bad result whatsoever. Vettel and Ricciardo starting the race on the medium compound tyres, so they're going for a different strategy in this Grand Prix. Into Q3 we go then, round the final corner we come here. Lewis Hamilton is currently the fastest man. We're looking to try and beat that as we come across the line. Now, we only go 4 tenths slower than my teammates, so unfortunately, we actually dropped down to 6th place, so a bad position for Mercedes. Daniel Ricciardo claims pole position for the Malaysian Grand Prix. A good result for Red Bull, and a bit of a resurgence from Red Bull after the Italian Grand Prix. In the last 2 races, Ferrari have been quicker than Red Bull. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for qualifying for this Malaysian Grand Prix. We're going to be starting quite low down the order. Hopefully we can get a good start and a good run into turn 1 and hopefully challenge the leaders then. In the rivalry, we're actually now losing to Lewis Hamilton, so we definitely need to get our act together, and we're losing out in the driver position. Going to be listening to the the session goals from Emma, and she's going to tell us what she wants from us, which are on your screens right now. But that's everything for practice and for qualifying. Let's get into the race for the Malaysian Grand Prix.
From uncompromising heat to unrelenting storms, you never know quite what you're going to get here in Kuala Lumpur. The inaugural race in 1999 was the last of 4 Grand Prix victories for Northern Ireland's Eddie Irvine. I wonder who'll be adding their name to that history today. 5 lefts and 10 rights make up the 15 corners of Sepang's 3.4-mile circuit, a track where the weather always threatens to play a deciding factor. The drivers will be subjected to forces in excess of 4G and heavy braking zones in 4 of these corners, 2 of which come at the end of DRS zones into turn 1 and to turn 15. I won't be commentating alone today, of course. Nope, I have the honour to share this commentary box with none other than Anthony Davidson. And you and I were talking earlier today about how tight that midfield battle is compared to the last couple of years. Why do you think that is?
Well, I suppose the main reason is simply stability in the regulations. Look at what we had towards the end of the V8 era. In 2012, we had 7 winners in 7 races. We talk about the dominance of Red Bull at that time, but their advantage was rarely more than 2 or 3 tenths of a second. And we've had this current formula now for a couple of years, and that serves to solve any teething troubles with reliability. Let's not forget that these cars are more technical than ever before, so it was always going to take a bit of time for those gaps to come down.
If we keep up this level of performance, I think he'll be promoted to #1 driver. So let's make sure we get a good result today.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. It was a good showing from Red Bull in qualifying, and Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Raikkonen, Max Verstappen, and a Mercedes. Button, Alonso, Grosjean, and Rio Haryanto. Perez, Hulkenberg, Esteban Gutierrez, and Bottas, Wehrlein, Kvyat, Carlos Sainz, and Felipe Massa, Palmer, and Magnussen. Felipe Nasser and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Alright then guys, as you can see we are now on the grid for the Malaysian Grand Prix, and we're going to be starting things off with the soft tyres to transform into the hard tyres. But you can see at the end of the race there is going to be a drop of rain in this Grand Prix. We seem to be getting a lot of wet weather races in this career mode with Mercedes. Obviously they found out that I hate the rain in this Mercedes car, so they thought let's just give him as much wet weather as possible here for Season 2. But anyway, we're now going to be warming up the tyres and the brakes on the formation lap, but once again we won't be seeing all of that. Because it's just boring. So as you can see then, coming around turn 1, we're actually going to skip this now, and we're going to be preparing from preparing from 6th place to try and get a good start. So as you can see, we're on the grid now. We've got 3, 4, now 5 red lights for the Malaysian Grand Prix. And it is lights out and away we go here in Sepang. A nice start from us indeed. Kimi Raikkonen with a quite slow start. We're going to into the slipstream with Kimi Raikkonen. Moved swiftly to the right-hand side of the circuit. And we're going to make a sharp right-hand side of the circuit to get the inside line. Down into turn 1 we go. Contact there with Daniel Ricciardo, locking up the brakes there. So I back out, give Daniel Ricciardo the place back there, as I felt it was unfair contact with Ricciardo. So I let him have the place back. We get straight past back Sebastian Vettel, sorry, who challenged us. And now Daniel Ricciardo here looking to try and get away from us. But look at the power of this Mercedes car. Blitzing straight past Ricciardo, down the inside into turn 4 there. And we get the move set. But look at Lewis Hamilton, absolutely bolted away from 2nd place on the grid, and he is very far ahead indeed. And now our sights are set on hunting down Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the race. But we go very wide in the middle sector again, the sector I hate the most on this circuit. In any car that I drive, I really do struggle in this middle sector around Malaysia especially. So now as we're making the charge down towards the hairpin, you can already see Hamilton nearly about 2-3 seconds clear before we've even entered the middle sector alone on this circuit. So Lewis Hamilton absolutely bolting away at the moment, and he'll definitely be looking to try and increase his advantage even more. Of course, Lewis Hamilton is over 100 points behind in the Drivers' Championship right now, so he definitely needs to start getting his act together and get some wins under his belt to try and close down the advantage that I have, and that's going to mean that I'm going to have to make problems as well. Anyway, coming down the long back straight now, you can see that it is Daniel Ricciardo behind us, but nothing's going to really come from Ricciardo with our straight line speed of the Mercedes engine. Braking hard down into the final corner here. You can see that we're going to be getting that perfect there, and then run across the curb on the exit. Hamilton comes through and sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We're about 3.4 seconds back after the first lap, so we've got some work to do if we're going to hunt down Lewis Hamilton and take the lead and take the win here in Malaysia. So we've got some work to do, but let's get a replay of that start then. So as you can see, Lewis Hamilton got an electric start from his grid spot and goes straight into P1 as we head towards turn 1. Ricciardo with a slow start. I move over into the middle of the circuit, but I decide my best route is to go around the inside. I tapped the rear of Daniel Ricciardo, so I broke really late, so I decided to lift off the throttle into turn 1 and give him the space back, which nearly cost me as Sebastian Vettel fancied a run on myself as we make a charge now down towards turn 4. But we actually get away from Vettel nicely, chuck ourselves into the slipstream of Ricciardo, get a massive tow, and all the power that I've got in the Mercedes, I go down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo there, and the move is sticks on Ricciardo. Hamilton already pulling away now as I look to try and gain into pursuit. But it's this middle sector where I actually lose out on a lot of time here. As the car understeers, we go off the circuit, lose the back end of the car, and that brings Daniel Ricciardo right back into play here. Going through this double left-hander, again I get more understeer, and Daniel Ricciardo now right behind us. Hamilton approaching the hairpin already. Now you can see Ricciardo looking to get a run on us down into the hairpin. He's just too far back to actually make some sort of challenge, and we managed to stay in front of Ricciardo, no problems whatsoever, as we look to try and increase the advantage between myself and Ricciardo, and look to decrease the advantage between myself and Lewis Hamilton. So As you can see now, we're coming through the final sector. Hamilton already gone by now. I don't know where he's just bolted. He's just said, yeah, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I'm quick and I'll see you later. That's literally what he's done, of course. He's literally doing a replica of his Malaysian Grand Prix in real life. Of course, we know what happened in real life. His engine blew up. Conspiracy theories. But anyway, we're coming down into the final corner now on what was the end of a little bit of a scruffy first lap. But at the end of the day, we started in 6th position and we're up to 2nd. And our hunt is on Lewis Hamilton. It's a 1-2 for Mercedes here at what you could technically call Mercedes' home race because with Petronas. But we actually skip now and we're coming into the pits. This is on lap 3 of the Grand Prix now. We're on to lap 3 and we decide that the best route in terms of trying to catch Lewis Hamilton is to see if we can go for an undercut. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the pits and we're going to change onto the hard compound tyres and we're going to try and see if we can get an undercut on the Mercedes of Hamilton in front of us. I thought this was the best way to close up on Hamilton. I managed to get the gap down to about 3 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds. So I closed about a second on Lewis Hamilton, but I definitely wasn't quick enough against Lewis Hamilton throughout the majority of the lap, and overall I was still struggling to catch Lewis Hamilton at a good rate of knots, which I thought I may be able to have done. So I thought that the best option for me now, with me being only 3 seconds back, was to try and undercut on Lewis Hamilton and see if I could really, you know, push with these hard tyres whilst Hamilton is on his old soft tyres and potentially cause some sort of problems for Hamilton out front. So we're just going to have to wait and see what we can do now. Skipping ahead to the end of lap 5 now, coming on to lap 6 of the Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton has made his way into the pits onto this lap. So we've got 2 laps older tyres, but we've had much more experience on the tyres. Coming down the long pit straight now, unfortunately you can see from the mini-map, Lewis Hamilton is coming through turn 1 as we speak. Hamilton has has maintained the lead of the race. He's just gone through turn 2, and unfortunately, we have not been able to make the undercut work on Lewis Hamilton. The gap has about stayed the same here, but unfortunately we've got some traffic to deal with. So we've got Kevin Magnussen in front of us, making the run up towards turn 4. We're going to duck into the right hand side of the circuit, and we're going to get the move on Magnussen sorted there. A nice move indeed on Kevin as we need to get past him. There's Hamilton, you just saw him on your screen. He's actually stuck behind Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg. You'll get a better camera angle view of it now. There's Hamilton there behind Sainz and Hülkenberg, and then there's me behind Palmer and Felipe Nasser as I go very wide again in this middle sector. Still struggling to try and get it right as I look to try and pursue Jolyon Palmer. Coming towards the hairpin now, can we make a move on Jolyon Palmer? We decide to try and have a look on Palmer. It's just not going to work for us, and in the end we have to stay back, wait another time before we can get past Jolyon Palmer. Hamilton there goes around the outside of Carlos Sainz. A great move from Lewis Hamilton around this. You can see, yeah, he did actually. He got in front of Sainz. So making some progress as Hamilton, and I saw that. Now I need to make some progress. I go a little bit wide around the circuit to give myself the inside line down the inside of Jolyon Palmer there. A nice move to give me some better traction through that corner. Now we've got the DRS activated. Next up is Felipe Nasser, and we go straight to the left-hand side of the circuit. His Sauber car is no match for the Mercedes, and down the inside we go. And Felipe Nasser has been dispatched. And going on to this helicopter camera now, you can see we're coming down the pit straight as we see Carlos Sainz come into the pits. Lewis Hamilton gets past Nico Hülkenberg, and luckily with this amazing helicopter camera, you'll see that down into turn 1 we go. There is Hamilton in front of Nico Hülkenberg, myself in second, and still maintaining that gap between me and Hamilton, or Hamilton and myself, about 2 to 3 seconds. So we still need to close that gap down. But first, we've got to get past Nico Hülkenberg. And on to lap 7 of the Grand Prix, we're going to do just that. So as you can see, we're coming now down towards the final stroll, the long back straight, should I say. And we've got DRS ready to attack Nico Hülkenberg with. We're going to chuck the car into rich fuel mixture. It's going to be Mercedes versus Mercedes, with Force India making definitely a big resurgence in this race. But you can see the slipstream that we're getting on Nico Hülkenberg. Pull the car to the left-hand side of the circuit. Hülkenberg decides not to fight it as much there. And we make the move stick on Hülkenberg. And that is going to be us into 3rd place. Sergio Perez leads the race. Lewis Hamilton with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Myself going just 2/10 slower than Hamilton, with Romain Grosjean, I believe, going slow. Hence why you can see the yellow flags on the mini-map on the left-hand corner of your screen. So Grosjean with a couple of issues, and Haas are going to definitely need to work on to try and fix those. On to lap 10 of the Grand Prix, and the wet weather that was scheduled for the end of the race has now begun to fall. You can see the wet drops on the screen, and you can see how much difficult it is for me to drive round here. Of course, we know Malaysia is known for its crazy weather, So obviously, it's time for me to maybe make the call to go into the intermediate tyres. And as we come now down towards this difficult corner, you can see I go super wide. And my engineer says, right, it's time for intermediates. We can't stay on these wets any... we can't stay on the dries any longer. So now we've still got DRS. It has not been disabled yet. So we can still attack Sergio Perez. So coming down the inside into the final corner, we brake nice and late, and we get Sergio Perez done there. And he's actually done a strategical masterclass. Perez has not pitted yet. He started on those hard tyres, and now he's coming in for the intermediate tyres. So he saved himself a pit stop here, but we've got a problem. Lewis Hamilton has come into the pits. Hamilton now goes out of the pits. However, the crew haven't got the intermediates ready yet. Now they have the intermediates ready. Unfortunately, I lost about 2 to 3 seconds in the pit stop. Actually, no. So pit stop 2.4 seconds. So my pit stop was 5.4. So I lost 3 seconds in the pit stop. And Sergio Perez gets back in front of us, which is a nightmare for myself. I wanted to get it back. I wanted to try and close up on Hamilton. Unfortunately, we're going to have to now not only chase down an even bigger gap against Lewis Hamilton, now we've got to try and get back past Sergio Perez, who we overtook going into the final corner. So not good for Mercedes, unfortunately. And we've got more work to do, as we've literally tried to hunt down Lewis Hamilton for this entire Grand Prix. Coming now, making the run down turn 3, and now making the charge up towards turn 4. I'm looking to try and find a way past Sergio Perez. I have a look down the inside line, but it's just not enough for me there. And corner cut, yes, I'm sorry. But as you can see then, we're going to make a good run on Sergio Perez down the inside into turn 5 and 6. We get that move done, and we're back past the Force India, who wasn't really going to make any match for us. We've got to get past Jenson Button, and then we've got Lewis Hamilton to catch. So Button is still on the hard tyres. He's definitely going to be struggling to even think of keeping that car on the circuit. So we're definitely on the better tyres than Jenson right now. So expect us to get past Jenson very, very quickly. Lewis Hamilton also getting held up nearly by somebody. We actually tapped the back of Jenson Button there as he's going super slow indeed. And round the outside of Jenson Button there. Told you that move is just going to be very, very simple to get past Jenson Button. No problems whatsoever. Now we are up into 4th place. Lewis Hamilton is my next target, who is chasing, I believe, the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Vettel and Verstappen, or someone else. Moving on now to the end of that lap. The gap is now from 5 seconds down to 2.1 seconds. My hunt is back on Lewis Hamilton. We've got a chance to get this race win and take it away from Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. Moving on to the end of lap 12 towards the start of lap 13. The gap was 2.1. It's now 1.3. So we're getting even closer to Hamilton. We are literally cutting through his lead right now. Onto the end of lap 14, though, the final lap of the Grand Prix, I was getting so much closer to Lewis Hamilton. The gap was under a second. Unfortunately, the gap was just too much for me to close in the end. I had to be honest, I just didn't really have the pace, and as you can see here, starting to struggle a lot more as the rain was coming down a lot more, and starting to think about full wet tyres if we were going any further into the race, but we're not. So, it's getting a lot harder to control this, but unfortunately Hamilton, as you can see, is just too far ahead. Coming now down towards the final corner, we've been trying to hunt down Hamilton for the entire Grand Prix. In the dry periods, Hamilton was a lot quicker than myself. In the intermediate conditions, I was quicker than Hamilton, but unfortunately for myself, it's going to be P2 today, which is not a bad result whatsoever. Lewis Hamilton wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. I come home in 2nd place. It's a 1-2 for Mercedes-Benz, so we cannot complain about that. Toto Wolff on the pit wall there, very, very happy indeed with what he has seen, and he is over the moon by Mercedes' performance. Lewis Hamilton celebrating there as he does, definitely very happy with what he has seen today, and he will definitely be thinking of a bit of momentum coming his way. Of course, the championship lead has now decreased. Kimi Raikkonen there celebrating 4th with, I believe, a Ferrari and a Red Bull and something else all merged inside each other there. It's really weird, that, actually. Sergio Perez there making advantage of his one pit stop to come home and take a podium, so a great result for Perez. Overall in the Grand Prix then, if I had to do an overall like I always do, I was definitely slower than Lewis Hamilton in the dry periods. I just didn't have enough pace, especially in the middle sector, compared to Lewis Hamilton. The undercut definitely did not work for myself, and I was a little bit slow getting through the traffic, meaning that I just didn't quite close up on Lewis Hamilton. When it came to switching to the intermediate tyres, I was definitely the faster driver, but once again, I was still really slow in the middle sector, and that sector of the track cost me at least a second, so I was slower in that part, There was lots of mistakes around there. Mercedes making my pit stop slow. Otherwise, we could have maybe mounted some sort of challenge on Hamilton, but I'm not going to complain. The gap is now 97 points in the driver's standing, so it's still an absolutely huge advantage, nevertheless, from myself and Lewis Hamilton. As you can see then, with everybody else, you can see everyone with their points and where they are currently in the standings. Onto the constructors' standings, you can see that Mercedes now have, I believe it's a 211-point lead over Red Bull, so we're getting even further in front of Red Bull now. Loading onto the main screen here, you can see that we are going to be making an upgrade. But if you guys did enjoy the Malaysian Grand Prix, drop a like on it, that'd be absolutely awesome. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And as you can see, we're going to be getting the resource points that I need to make the upgrade that I want. The rivalry update here is clear. You can see Hamilton is now even further in front. And we actually do go up a driver position there to 9, but we're not quite on the full 10 yet. As you can see then, onto the laptop, I'm going to be making the upgrade that I want to. And that is going to be an engine upgrade for the Japanese Grand Prix. So if you guys do enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time for the Japanese Grand Prix. Take care. Peace.